But I want to start with the radio show where you recently interviewed the quarterback of the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, and that interview was aggregated a lot. I don't think a lot of people that aggregated it necessarily even realize that you've interviewed Aaron as much as you have on your radio show, because he's known for the weekly Pat McAfee appearances. But how did your SiriusXM radio shows become a sort of media home for Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron and I have had a great host, guest, player relationship for a long time. I used to host the draft on NFL radio. I started at Sirius. It wasn't even Sirius XM, at Sirius in 2004. And I hosted the draft. And my first draft was the Aaron Rodgers draft. It was at the Javits Center when Aaron fell, and he was in the green room. And that was the first time I interviewed him, when he fell in the draft. And we've never talked about that in terms of first time we met, but he has given Shine on Sports, given Mad Dog Sports Radio, SiriusXM, given us an interview at least a couple of times a year ever since he's been the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And I've said it on numerous occasions, he's the best person in sports to interview. He always listens to your questions. I think it's important. It makes me a better host. I listen to his answers. There's no such thing with Aaron Rodgers as a tough question, because he'll answer anything and everything. Sometimes, back in the day, if, it's during the radio show and it's live and, he only has 15 minutes and I ask him about a play against the Bears, to Jordy Nelson over the middle, he might go for 6 minutes. So I've learned, there's an art in terms of how you interview Aaron Rodgers, but, usually once a season, usually once during the off season. He's been very loyal to the show, very loyal to me. And I listen, Aaron knows the deal. And whether it's, subject matters that are on football, I love talking to him about pop culture. I love talking to him about other sports. He's great on basketball, baseball, NIL, whatever it is, how long he's going to keep playing. And I'm thrilled for him with this opportunity with the Jets. And, he's also loyal. I've told this story before, but years ago, we always do at the end of the year a best of on Mad Dog Sports Radio. And you get commitments from guys. And, this is when Aaron was hurt. Packers were struggling. And he was coming back to try and make a run. He was playing Carolina. There was 3 weeks left in the season. And he got hurt, and his season was over. And normally, when you have a guest booked, you root for health and you root for a win, because that usually ensures you're going to get the guest, especially if it's, through a publicist or through PR or through the team. So you root for health and you root for a win. And Rodgers lost and he got injured. And this was a best of. This was, if you go back to January of the calendar year, the Cowboys game, which was one of the best games he ever played, the throw to Cook, just how majestic he was, beating Dallas in Dallas. And he kept his commitment. And then he did a press conference 10 minutes later and announced that he was done for the season. So I have always appreciated his amazing loyalty, and he's amazing, and he's great on Pat's show, and what he does, and he even talked about it on my show in the most recent interview. I mean, the Pat and AJ Hawk and the boys and Aaron and what they do, it's awesome for Aaron. I love Pat. Pat's a good friend of mine. We worked together for a couple of years, and there's a great mutual respect there. But Aaron's been really awesome to the show and has been for a long time. He understands the platform we have. He understands if we do it on the radio show, we put it on the Rise and Shine podcast. I'm going to put clips on and talk about it on CBS Sports Network. So he gets it and understands the power and prestige and the platform of being on Shine on Sports on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
The perception of Aaron Rodgers has changed a bit since he started doing the Pat McAfee show. Has your perception of Aaron Rodgers changed since he started doing the Pat McAfee show?
I love that question, and the answer is no. I mean, that's the Aaron Rodgers that, frankly, I've interviewed forever. And,
right.
What makes him such a compelling interview is, you ask him questions, and there's no such thing with Aaron as a tough question. And, he gives you what's on his mind. And, he's not afraid to, dish it back and have fun with it. So, no, I'm there. I look forward to that spot with Pat every week, Brandon, for a variety of reasons. I mean, hey, it's, great news, and it's great, for us on radio and TV. We're going to talk about whatever Aaron says. I mean, you do a good interview with Aaron, and it's Rodgers. It's going to be news. But that's who he is, and that's who he is with me when he comes on the show. And it's very genuine, and his likability factors off the charts. I'll tell you something, and I've joked with Aaron about this. When we used to go to training camp, people could say, oh, Aaron Rodgers, not a great teammate. Every year, which was always just one of the worst takes ever. I mean, just talk to anyone who's been on the Packers. Brandon, he used to bring his backup quarterbacks to in-person interviews. He would bring Matt Flynn. He would bring Brett Hundley. So these guys would get some shine on Sports, right?
Right.
And really, that's not even great radio. I don't want to talk, with all due respect to Matt Flynn, that's not why I'm there. But he's such a good guy and a good teammate. And I love when he's on McAfee, because I think the genuine nature, the thoughtfulness of Rodgers. There's no wasted word. There's no wasted answer. It's all there's always a pause, if you've noticed, before he answers a question. He likes to think, he likes to process, and then just let it rip. He's my favorite person to interview in sports, and I do love when he's on McAfee. I think he really is outstanding with Pat.